I'm very lucky to be in San Francisco at the Ogilvy headquarters in the area.
It's the main office in San Francisco,
Yes.
and we have an office in Los Angeles that's mostly PR, and then we have an office in Sacramento that's mostly PR, and then in Denver as well, it's mostly PR. So in terms of OgilvyOne, which is the group I run, it's based here in San Francisco.
So I guess you're focusing on clients around the San Francisco area, and how do you think that differentiates from clients elsewhere, perhaps in America?
Our major clients have national scope, actually international scope, but we are handling the national business for most of our clients. Other offices in other parts of the region in the world have clients that do local and also implement international-based campaigns, meaning that it's originated somewhere else, usually like in New York, for example, and then they are given the assets and have to convert them either stylistically or just from a copy perspective. So I imagine that internationally there's a mix of both localization work and then native work.
And is that the same then with the East Coast, then, that they are also dealing with national and international clients? Yes. As opposed to local? So how is what you're doing here different to what's being done on the East Coast then?
Technically, it's just a matter of scale. They're much larger than us, by orders of magnitude. But when you get down to the daily functions that we have, we do the same thing. We have creative, we have strategy, we've got account management. There's some disciplines that we don't have as much of here in San Francisco proper.
As you're a smaller branch.
For instance, we don't have digital production or digital design, development. So, folks who actually build, websites and landing pages and other digital assets are, right now based in New York. We'd like to eventually get to a point where we have those skills here, but we have to build up our scale. So it's more a matter of just size versus actual, technical expertise.
That said, what would you say are the advantages of being on the West Coast as opposed to being in the older media hub of New York?
The advantages, sort of the obvious thing is being here, based in San Francisco, right in the heart of Silicon Valley and the tech hub. We're right in the backyard of large companies, and so there's a lot of opportunity here that makes it easier to mine being here physically than it is being in New York. So I would say that was probably the most advantageous thing, is just being near where there's a lot of opportunity versus having to fly in. The talent pool here is a little different too. I think there's a lot of digital and technology expertise here that doesn't exist as much. Obviously New York has a huge market, but there's just a lot more of that happening here in the West Coast, and especially in San Francisco.
Okay, so who do you think are some of the up-and-comers that we should be looking out for?
There's a whole mess load. There's Swirl's a big one, Heat, Pierre Odell. It's escaping me. There's a whole plethora of them, popping up with really interesting names. And then there's kind of powerhouses out here. Footcone and McCann. Goodby obviously is a huge presence here in the Bay Area. So it's a mix of larger agencies, a part of networks, and then sort of your small independents that are more boutique-y, that are servicing specific clients.
Yeah, and you mentioned the agency scene. What do you think it's like in this area then?
The agency scene. There's a lot of there is a lot of creativity. Again, it's on the order of scale, it doesn't compare to New York. It's just a smaller pool. But you do get a good mix of creativity and technology, part and parcel because the clients tend to be tech-based, consumer technology or B2B tech, but also just the capabilities of the skill sets here. There's a lot of development, digital design, mobile, and it's also influenced a lot by the startups. There's a lot of obviously early stage tech companies here too, so the talent pool sort of moves from client side to agency side a lot on the design creative side.
What do you think is the future for the West Coast, and how do you think you see it progressing, as a relatively new area?
I think it's going to be around tech, frankly. I think that's the big opportunity here. So agencies service agencies, digital agencies, creative agencies, media agencies are going to find opportunity servicing both B2B and B2C technology clients, especially as a lot of these startups start to get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's going to be more opportunity for work. Google is a good example. Google doesn't work with one specific agency, so they've got lots of different projects out there with different agencies all vying to do work and doing work. So as Uber and Airbnb and some of these other agencies continue to expand their outbound marketing, they're going to be giving projects and work to smaller agencies who then they build that book of business, they use that to pitch new business. So I do think that's a vector of growth, is really getting in with these early stage venture-backed, we call unicorns, these large companies that now are sitting a lot of market, a lot of capital, and some of that's going to marketing, and the agencies sort of pick up on that, rising tide lifts all ships type of thing, so that they're going to get more success and build on that success. Now that's Bay Area, and in LA it's a little different. It's all more entertainment-based, so media and entertainment is the gravity point around in Los Angeles. So that being said, there is a large presence of technology. It's not the same as it is up here.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for talking to me, Roland, and it was lovely to meet you.